Welcome to Module 12, User-Defined Functions, also known as UDFs. So UDFs are functions that you create. They are not available directly in Python. Once you create them, then you can use them to execute code. So what exactly do these functions do? They execute a block of code, the same block of code each time they are called. So if there's some section of your code that gets repeatedly called, then a function is a great place to put all that code in. Then you can just continuously reference all that code with just the function name. Okay, so that's exactly what I just said. It executes the block of code anytime you want just by referencing its name. All right, so the UDF syntax, how do we create one of these user-defined functions? It's similar to the other statements like that we've seen if, for, and while. The first line of a UDF begins with a keyword. That keyword is def. So just like if, for, and while are keywords. And it ends with a colon. So what you do to create it is you write def, then space, and then your function name. That can be any valid variable name, and then open and close parentheses. We'll learn how to create functions that take in arguments a little bit later. And then it ends in a colon, and then like always, whenever you have a colon at the end of a line, that means a code block is coming up. So you put whatever code will be executed by the function in this code block over here. It can be one line, it could be any number of lines, and then you can execute the function with its name. So let's go ahead and see how this works. We're going to define our own function with no parameters, so it's not going to take in any arguments. So we're going to say def. And we're just going to create a simple function that just prints out some statement. Okay, so def hello. Make sure you put open and close parentheses. It will not take in any arguments. And then a colon. And then when you press enter, here's where the body of the function is. And then we will just have one line of code in here. And we'll say, hello, this is my first function. We'll just print this to the screen like this. So this is how you define your function. When you execute this cell, nothing will happen. This is just how you define the function or create it. Now, once it's created, then you can use its name anywhere you want in your program. So we will call this function, and you need to have parentheses like this. So an open and close parentheses, and then press. Now when you execute, it will run all of the code in here. This time it is very simple. It's just a single line of code, and our function just prints that to the screen. We can put our function in another cell. It doesn't matter. It'll keep executing that same code block. So it always just references all of the code in here. That's all a function is. It's a reference to a bunch of code. Now, if you forget to put the parentheses, you won't get an error in Python. You get something that looks very funny. Basically what it does is it just says, hey, you've referenced the function, you have not called it. So in Python, you can reference a function like this without calling it. This is not an error. In other languages, it would be an error. But in Python, functions are objects and can be assigned to other variables. So we'll talk more about that later. But what the point here is that when you want to use your function, you have to call it, which means you have to have open and close parentheses following its name. All right, so that's a little introduction into user-defined functions.